Okay, so now we're going to go to factorizing trinomials. Trinomials. Okay, so now what does the word trinomial mean? Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. What does the word trinomial mean? So if we ask ourselves, what does tri mean? Tri means 3. And then what is a nomial? Nomial, basically, you can think of it as like referring to like nomial, referring to like term. So when you say something is a trinomial, it means it has 3 terms, such as, for instance, x squared plus 4x plus 4. It has 1, 2, 3 terms. Okay, so anytime you see that, okay, something has 3 terms, it's not always going to be the case, but you can always think of that, rather, you're always going to use this method of factorizing. When you have 1, 2, 3 terms and they ask you to factorize, you think to yourself, okay, I have to use this method of factorization. And then for this one, we have also going to follow it step by step. Step 1 would also be, let's write down 2 brackets. Okay, and then now what's going to happen is we need to determine what's going to be the signs in this one. Okay, so here it's going to be a different. So it can either be plus and a plus, can be a minus and a minus, can also be a plus and a minus. So now how do you actually choose which signs to actually have? Okay, so I'm going to show you a trick. Né? So what you first look at is you look at the last term, right? So you look at this last term here. So now is this last term, is it positive or is it negative? It is positive. So now if it's positive, it is telling us that the signs are the same. So meaning that the signs in these 2 brackets will be the same. It can either be a plus and a plus, or it can be a minus and a minus. So now how do you know if it's going to be a plus and a plus and a minus and a minus? Okay, so it's not really that tricky. What you're going to do is now you just look at this term here. Okay, so now is this term positive or is it negative? It's positive. So now it being positive, it tells us that, okay, we have 2 positive signs. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 would be find the factors of the first term. So now what was the first term in this trinomial? It was x squared. So what are the factors of x squared? Yes, it's going to be x and x. So we have x here, we had a plus sign, now it's going to be x, and then like that, right? Because we also had a plus sign there. Now step 3, and this is the step that most people actually struggle with. Step 3 is going to be now find the factors of the last term. So now you look at this term here. So now here we say find the factors of the last term. So now what are the factors of 4? So let's write them down. So we have 4. So the factors of 4 can just be 1 and 4, and they can also be 2 and 2. Because how many times does 1 go into 4? It goes in there 4 times, right? And how many times does 2 go into 4? It goes in there twice. Okay, cool. So now we need to find a pair of factors that will add up to the middle term. So now which pair of factors, 1 or 4, or 2 and 2, will add up to 4? It's going to be this pair of factors. So now in this case, you just write your 2 and your 2 there, and then that would be your last step, right? Step 3 would be x plus 2, and then you have x plus 2. Okay, let's do another example to make sure that that made sense. And then now we're going to do it with different signs. Let me show you. So now let's say, for instance, we are given a question that has something like this. Let's say you have, which one can I show you that's a bit different? Let's say you have x squared plus 15x, right, minus 54. Okay, so what was step 1? Step 1 was write your 2 brackets. You're going to write your brackets down. And now we say, okay, now we need to choose which signs are going to be here. Do you have a plus and a plus? Do you have a minus and a minus? Do you have a plus and a minus? So now we said, okay, we need to look at the last term. And we said if this last term, if it was positive, then we know that the signs are going to be the same. But now it is negative. So now what we can then say is that the signs are opposite. Meaning that these signs are going to be a plus and you have a minus sign. Does it make sense? I hope it does make sense. Okay, so then what we're going to do is step 2 was, okay, what are the factors of the first term? The factors of the first term is going to be x and x, right? And then what are now the factors of 54? The factors of 54, let's write them down. So we have 54. So we can ask ourselves, how many times does 1 go into 54? It goes in there 54 times, correct? And then how many times does 2 go into 54? So we say 2 goes in there how many times? It's going to go there 27 times, right? And then can 3 go into 54? I think so. Let me show you a trick that you can use always to see. Now, all you do is you say 5 plus 4. What does 5 plus 4 give you? It gives you 9. And then can 3 go into 9? Yes, 3 can go into 9. So then you know that 3 can go into this number. So now you have 54, divide that by 3, it's going to give you 18. So now that's 3, and then you had 18. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So now we need to ask ourselves, which pair of factors are going to give us 15? Is it 1 and 54? Is it 2 and 27? Is it 3 and 18? Okay, so, and also you need to look at these signs here. So here you have a plus sign, you have a minus sign. So whichever pair of factors you need to choose, I'm going to show you, we're going to use these two factors here. It's the 3 and the 18. So you're going to say plus 3 minus 18. Does it give us plus 15? Does it give us plus 15? What is plus 3 minus 18 going to give you? It's going to give you a minus 18. It's going to give you a minus 15 rather, not minus 18. We are looking for a plus 15, right? So then what you see that, okay, we have to actually make it a plus 18 minus 3 is going to give us plus 15. So that's how you know that, okay, now this plus sign here, right, is where the 18 is going to be. So now here you see your plus sign and your 18 is there. And then where the minus sign is, that's where your 3 should be. So here you have a minus sign, and then you're going to put your 3 down there. Okay, so one last one. Let's do one last one. So now let's do the following. We have 2y squared plus 5y plus 2. Okay, so now you should be the one actually taking me through this. So what was step 1? Let's identify the signs. So how do you identify if the signs are going to be the same or they're opposite? We look at the last term. The last term is telling us to do what? To make the signs the same. So are they going to be a plus and a plus or a minus and minus? How do we determine that? We determine that by looking at this term here. This term is plus, so we know that it's going to be two signs that are positive. So we have a positive and a positive. Step 2 was, let's look at the factors of the first term. What are the factors of 2y squared? It's going to be 2y and then just y. Okay, and then this one is going to actually be quite easy. What are the factors of 2? That can give you 5. Now let's look at the factors of 2. So we have 1 and 2, right? So is there any way on earth that we can actually add or subtract these two guys to get 5? No, there isn't. So what I'm going to show you is, okay, we're going to choose these two pair of factors. Let's try it, for instance, 1 and 2. And this is what I always want you to do. Né? I want you to always check your answer. So now we're going to check. So here we have 2y minus multiplied by y is going to give us how much? 2y squared. And then we multiply it there by 2 is going to be plus 4y. And then we have plus y. And then multiplying those two by each other, we're going to have plus 2. And that's going to give us the following. We're going to have 2y squared plus 5y plus 2. So then we can see that, okay, these pair of factors actually did work because we're getting the same answer that we started with out there. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it does.